Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to give it a little bit more time and let a few people roll in. It's good to see everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know it's so close to the holidays and people are busy, so we really appreciate you being here. I'm really looking forward to this presentation. And it just turned 7 o'clock. So why don't we get started to respect everybody's time? And hello, welcome, good evening. Welcome to Mental Health Stigma and What You Can Do Today, brought to you by NAMI Cook County North Suburban, Brittney Fair, Master of Social Work, Advanced Practice Social Worker, and Training Specialist at Rogers Behavioral Health, and the Eisenhower Public Library. Rogers Behavioral Health is a not-for-profit, independent provider of specialized mental health and addiction treatment. As one of the largest behavioral healthcare systems in the United States, Rogers offers highly effective, evidence-based treatment that helps people reach their full potential for health and well-being. More information can be found at www.rogersbh.org. Before we begin, I would like to take a second to thank the Eisenhower Public Library, located in Harwood Heights, Illinois, for sponsoring this event. The Eisenhower Public Library's mission states, "We help you, we connect our community, we strive to inspire all." The Eisenhower Public Library is located at 4613 North Akio Avenue for those interested in stopping by. Thank you so much for your support and for making this event happen. We truly appreciate your partnership. I am Bree Hoekstra, the Program Director at NAMI Cook County North Suburban. NAMI, or the National Alliance on Mental Illness, is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization, providing public awareness, no-cost support, and education programs online and in person so that people and families affected by mental health conditions can build better lives. We are a lifeline to individuals and families who do not know what to expect in their difficult life journey. We offer classes, support groups, and do a lot of local advocacies for mental health. Our programs are totally free of charge and open to those in our community service areas, but we do not turn anyone away who is in need. We are so pleased to have you here tonight. As you know, over the course of this year, we have heard from various speakers who have shared information on specific mental health conditions, including anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, personality disorders, PTSD, eating disorders, substance use as it relates to mental health, and ADHD. If you were not able to attend any of those webinars and are interested in learning more about those conditions, please visit our website at our webinar library at www.namiccns.org. To wrap up this series, we asked Brittney Fair from Rogers Behavioral Health to further educate us on mental health stigma, what you can do today. Specifically, to learn what it means to be a safe and supportive person, and what you can do today to start the conversation on stigma and supporting those with mental health challenges. The Mayo Clinic describes stigma as when someone views you in a negative way because you have a distinguished characteristic or personal trait that is thought to be or actually is a disadvantage or a negative stereotype. According to NAMI National, 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year. Less than half of them receive treatment. We also know that 1 in 20 U.S. adults experience a serious mental illness each year, and less than 2/3 of them receive treatment. National also states that 60% of Americans are concerned about the stigma surrounding mental health and is the leading cause of individuals not seeking treatment. Brittney Fair's presentation will delve into the WISE program, Safe Person. She will speak on understanding what it means to be a safe and supportive person to those who may have mental health challenges. Brittney will walk us through the 7 promises for someone so they know how to show up for others if they choose to be a safe person. The 7 promises allows people to decide on how they want to show up and highlight what you can do today, not only for yourself, but also others to keep the conversation of mental health going. Our Q&A will be held at the end of the presentation. However, if you would like to type questions in the Q&A chat box during our conversation, please do. Our guest speaker tonight, Brittney Fair, is a training specialist at Rogers Behavioral Health. In this role, she facilitates training for leaders in the nonprofit, education, and healthcare sectors across the country. Brittney also facilitates programming for staff at Rogers Behavioral Health and with parents in the community. Prior to joining the team, Brittney worked for Meta House as a senior residential support specialist and a lead care coordinator for Wisconsin Community Services with the mental health and AODA population. Brittney earned her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and Bachelor of Arts in Sociology from the University of Wisconsin-Parkside. Brittney received her Master's of Social Work from Concordia University, Wisconsin, and is an advanced practicing social worker working towards becoming a licensed social worker in Wisconsin. We are so thrilled to have her here tonight to further educate us on this ever important topic. I am honored to welcome our guest speaker, Brittney Fair. Thanks, Brittney.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Like Bree said, to be respectful of time, we're just going to get right into it. But I'm just looking forward to giving this presentation because, like myself, we want to just be able to find ways to show up as a safe, supportive person in any capacity, whether it's our home life, whether it's our working, where we work, the things that we may do in the community. So this is just really to help further what we may already know, but maybe freshen up on some of those skills that we may have to just show up and be present for those that we interact with. So a few of our learning objectives for today, we're looking at prevalence of mental illness, a little bit of what Bree talked about, kind of reiterating that, benefits of talking about challenging topics, looking at those 7 promises, and the impact on your well-being. So we understand that as we show up for others, how are we also taking care of ourselves in that process to make sure that whatever we take on, we're able to fill ourselves back up at the end of the day. So 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people in the United States, that's about 47% of people in our lifetime, has some of this. And Bree mentioned this: schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, eating disorders, drug and alcohol use, trauma. Someone that you may know has experienced this, someone they may know has experienced this. They're us, okay? We are all of some way either experience this or personally, or we know someone that may experience these mental health challenges in our lifetimes. And so just understanding that we may encounter people who have some of these mental health challenges, it's again educating ourselves and figuring out what that looks like on how we talk to them, how we show up for them, understanding what mental health challenges that person specifically may have, getting more information on that so that we know what it looks like, what it sounds like, and again, just how we present ourselves as a supportive person. So this presentation itself is about an hour and a half, but given time and just we're closing in on the holiday time, so don't want to keep you all and have your brains in overdrive any longer. But there are some engagement pieces or points here. So for any of the engagement points, I just want you all to reflect on things that you may say, conversations that you may have, just to continue to think about what conversations you may have. And so for this one, what are some additional challenges that are difficult to talk about? Okay, so we know, or we saw that slide on mental health challenges, people with schizophrenia, eating disorders, trauma. Think about some other difficult challenges or challenges that are difficult to talk about. I've heard grief in the past. I've heard financial issues and challenges. So when you're working with people in the community or you're interacting with people, family or people in the community, there can be a lot of things that are challenging to talk about, and you don't necessarily know what someone may be going through or experiencing until you have those conversations, until you kind of just break those walls down and dive in or delve in as much as that person will allow you. But what we also know about people is just starting that conversation. That's probably the biggest thing that you can do, because it lets somebody know that you care, and they may not be ready to talk about it in that moment, that day, but it's now on their mind that they have somebody who does care, who's paying attention. So maybe they'll give a little bit more information or insight into what's going on the next time you interact with them. So just think about, what are some additional challenges that can be difficult to talk about with anybody, whether it's you, other people that you may encounter. And so with that, if you think about those challenging topics, what can be some benefits to opening up to other people about some of those challenges? And so here, we like to refer to Seize the Awkward, their campaign and just all of what they do. And so we pulled a video from Liv Morgan just talking about her mental health journey and the benefits of opening up about some of the challenges that she has. So we'll watch that video now.
There's no right or wrong way to feel. What I would like to encourage is knowing some tips to kind of manage those emotions. A great way to start is by having a good support system. My friends and family support me by hearing me complain, yell, cry, just having an open and safe place to vent my feelings, and just know that I have my best interests at heart. Younger Liv Morgan kept every single thing in and never expressed her emotions. People would look at me and think I was happy all the time when I was the exact opposite. So I would tell her, express yourself. You can trust people, let people know how you're feeling. They're not gonna judge you. It's a safe space. And you will feel so much better getting these burdens off of your chest. Be open with how you're feeling. There are so many ways to start a conversation about mental health with a friend. What matters is that you reach out.
Nice and short, but just seeing that based on her personality, her line of profession, she has people in her corner that she knows supports her, that she's comfortable with, that she can open up about anything that's going on, where she doesn't feel judged or looked at a certain way based on the mental health challenges that she has or her mental health journey in general. So again, with those challenging topics that can be difficult to talk about, now just think about, what are some benefits to opening up to others about those challenges? One can just be having the support there. What are some other challenges that you may notice, whether for yourself or somebody that you have encountered when you're talking about mental health, or if they've opened up about their mental health journey? What are some benefits that you've seen with opening up and just being vulnerable about your journey or the mental health journey that you may be on? So who is safe in your life? Again, a lot of these are rhetorical, but just think about it. Start to think about, as we talk about showing up as a safe, supportive person, how you want to show up as a safe, supportive person for others, but also think internally, who are safe people in your life? Who are you able to turn to have hard, challenging discussions, to just vent, to just sit and be silent with, and it's not awkward for you? Once you identify those person or people in your life, you can start to break down different situations in your life that you may have had, like, this has been a time where it was difficult and this person showed up for me, or these people showed up. In our normal hustle and bustle, daily lives, daily routines, we sometimes forget, or maybe not stop and think enough and pause in our life to just really think about, who is in my corner? how do I want people to show up for me? And how do I want to show up for others? So it's really just starting to get these thoughts into your mind of what it looks like. What does it sound like? What does it feel like to have somebody safe and supportive in your life? So with a safe person, there are 7 promises. And so these are the 7 promises. Generally, with the 7 promises, we have decals. As you see, there's I seek to listen and support. That's one decal. I have one on the back of my phone. We have them where you can put them on your computer, what have you, but it's really just to show that you're making, it's like a pledge, that you're pledging to show up in these 7 ways, these 7 promises as a safe, supportive person to someone. And I want to also mention or point out that in this pledge, we are all human. Okay, so you may have the best intentions to show up in these 7 ways, but we all have days where we may be a little off, we may be a little sluggish or fatigued or overwhelmed, and we have 97 things going on in our head or just in our lives that you may not be able to show up for somebody. That's okay. That is okay. And it's okay to let that person know, because trying to show up, and as time goes on, you're not able to actually show up, people notice that. People take heed of how you're responding, your nonverbals that you may be giving off. So it's better to just say, hey, you know, I really want to show up for you the best way I can right now. It's a lot going on. Is there something that we can do? What can we do? And that's what these promises really get into, giving your best intentions, while understanding that we are human and things happen, things come up. And so how are we being proactive in regards to other people, how they may feel, and just making sure that we're being as transparent as possible, when we're not able to be as fully supportive as we would like to. So these 7 promises, I'm going to break each one down. This is just the list of them. So looking at the first one, acknowledge that reaching out for support is a strength. Okay, so with this, it in itself, it's hard for somebody who may have been holding into a lot of things, who's probably used to just figuring things out on their own. If you're showing up as a safe, supportive person, acknowledging, recognizing that person coming to you saying, hey, you know what? I know this was hard, but I really appreciate you sharing or just opening a little piece of your life or your story with me so that I can at least be a part of this journey with you, so that you don't feel that you're alone or have to get through or go through all of this on your own. So it may feel nervous and you may be unsure, because if this is a person that you're interacting with for the first time on this level, you may not know what to say. That person may not know what to say, but in that moment, you both can get through that together. You can reassure that person that this is a positive step. Okay, what you're doing is brave, but you're also taking that next step. Okay, in your journey of not really knowing what to do or how to figure things out, just letting it out, stay in it, first step. Okay, and then we can figure out what things look like moving forward. But right here in this moment, I just want to acknowledge, give my gratitude to you for trusting me as the person that you shared this with. So it's really just giving it back to that person, because them sharing in that moment, they probably just needed to vent. They couldn't hold on to it anymore. And so you want to reflect back to them like, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for letting me be this person that you trust or see as a supportive person for you to come and share whatever your thoughts are, feelings are, and we can walk through this together. So the first one, just reaching out for support is a strength. Identifying some of those strengths. For the second one, listen and reacting non-judgmentally. So you want to listen without bias by recognizing that the person's feelings are legitimate. I don't know what this person may be feeling unless they say it. And even if as the person supporting and showing up, even if you're struggling to understand their perspective, you still want to listen without judgments or bias, because it's their challenge, their situation that they're dealing with. So it would be almost belittling or more harm than good to judge this person based on what they're feeling. You want to gain more insight, you want to gain more information so that you have an understanding of what's going on, to really know how to support this person. And so in that, listening and reacting non-judgmentally, you're beginning to unwrap what's all happening with this person. They're sharing with you, they're getting deeper into the situation or the circumstance that they may be in. And so you want to, in that moment of listening, you want to take a moment for yourself to pause and ground yourself, to keep yourself in that present moment, not to let your mind wander and get distracted with other things, but really grounding yourself with what you may be feeling. What are some things that may be coming up for you? And just thinking it through, allowing yourself to process what they're saying, but process what you're feeling. What are some feelings and thoughts that are coming up as you're listening to this person? As people, we may not experience the same thing ever. We may experience a very similar situation, but how we respond to it, how we perceive it is very different. Okay, and so we have to, we should understand that in that, we want to take a moment and pause, ground ourselves, figure out what we need, if it's breathing, to kind of calm ourselves down, to if it's feeling something so that we can keep ourselves in that present moment so that we can remain focused on what's being said, whatever you need to do. But just making sure that in those moments of supporting someone, you're also finding ways to take care of yourself. And then you also want to give their vulnerability your full attention and care, depending on cultural ways. Okay, you may interact with somebody who's culturally different from you, and that's an education moment, a lesson moment for you, because even though your experiences may be different, culturally there may be some differences. So there can be a lot of things coming up, and you want to be sure that you have an open mind, taking it all in, so that you get the full picture and you're leaving out those biases and judgments. Again, we're all human, so it happens. But if you're genuine and you want to really show up with the best intentions as a supportive person, figuring out ways to leave those biases and judgments at bay so that you can really show up for this person in a genuine manner. So when we look at number 3, respond in a calm and reassuring manner. Okay. We know that when we're with family, when we're with friends, if one person gets heightened and it's like, ooh, you feel that same feeling or heightened vibes or whatever that person is giving off, you too then become heightened. And it doesn't really work well to solve a problem or work through something if everybody's feelings and emotions are heightened. So you want to think about and understand that responding in a calm manner, you may have an emotional reaction to what you're hearing. Again, that it's normal, because you may hear something that you don't like. You may hear something and you're looking at this person like they don't deserve that. And so now you're like, oh man, I feel this. You have to remain calm, because as you become elevated, that person becomes elevated. And now the purpose of you being there supporting them kind of goes out the window, because now you're both responding in a different way. And so again, in these moments where you have to stay calm, stay even keel, as some people say, you also here want to try to find a way to ground yourself, keep yourself in the present moment, but also understanding that your feelings are not going to go unnoticed or unaddressed. It just may have to happen on the back end because right now we're showing up for this person and we want to keep them at the forefront as the main focus. So you want to wait until the person is done speaking before you respond. Make sure that everything that they're saying, you have an understanding. And if you don't, asking for clarification or more understanding so that you can get that full picture to better know how to respond. When you do give a response, offer realistic reassurance. Okay, this may be somebody who, again, you may not have interacted with if they weren't going through this situation. And so for you to say, well, in 3 weeks' time, this can happen. We don't know that. So we don't want to give unrealistic thoughts or comments to somebody because as they're coming to you, they're also trusting that you're going to help them through this. And to give somebody unrealistic advice or reassurance, it can do, again, more harm than good to this person in the long run. And so you want to exhibit acceptance, empathy, and respect. Accept the feelings and thoughts that are coming up because these are their feelings and thoughts. Empathy, being empathetic, not sympathetic, but empathetic, understanding, like, having comments of, "Ooh, that's tough. Like, I'm hearing everything you're saying, and I'm just happy that you came to me with this, but it's also good to know that you've found ways to be resilient. Despite what's going on, you found ways to push through and continue going on." But then also respect their space, their time. Okay, there may be moments where in their sharing, they may have to take a moment because it can be a lot to bring all of these things back. So respecting the space that you're holding, the space that they're in, as well as their time. So we're going to watch a short video, Brené Brown. This is on empathy. Then we'll do a little bit of reflecting afterwards.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, "I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed." And then we look and we say, "Hey, you can climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone." Sympathy is, "Ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich?" Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." Yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, "I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me." Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
So one thing that Brené Brown mentioned is when we, again, you may not have the same experience as someone, but we can connect on feelings that many of us have experienced. I'm sure a lot of us know what feelings of overwhelm looks like, feels like, anger, anxiousness, excitement, all these different feelings. We can connect on those feelings and build a deeper connection with each other. We can talk and just express like, yeah, I felt overwhelmed in this. I felt overwhelmed in this. And that's how that empathy is built. That's how that connection is built, just on those feelings that we've experienced at different points of our lives, but have experienced them. That's how we can build rapport, build trust, and just keep that conversation going as somebody showing up as a supportive person. Going that route instead of, well, I don't know exactly what you've experienced, so I don't know how we can relate, and going that route, because then it kind of shuts that person off of, okay, maybe this is not the person that I should be telling this to. So just thinking about your approach and how, in the language that you may use, to really build or deepen that connection and conversation with that person that you're showing up for. So number 4, reflecting back the feelings, strengths, and ideas you hear when listening. So it's taking 1 through 3 and really just putting it here. And so when you're hearing this person share what they're feeling, the highs, the lows, all of it, you want to repeat and rephrase what you're hearing in order to make sure you're understanding what's being said. This person can be in distress. You can see it, you can hear it. And so sometimes that person is just word vomiting. Just here, I'm going to give it all to you. And so you may need to pause and say, okay, I heard this. Is there anything else with this, so that I have a full understanding or a better picture of what you're talking about here? Okay, I heard this. I just want to make sure that I heard what you're saying. I'm going to repeat, or you may not say directly, I'm going to repeat back, but you'll repeat back or reflect back on what's been said so that they know that you're paying attention, but you're also wanting to make sure that you have full understanding of what's being said instead of responding out of just pulling something out of your head. You want to give it back to that person saying, okay, yes, this is what I'm hearing. So what, is there anything else to that? How did you feel in that situation? To really just get them to discuss more so that you can get that full understanding and clarification that you may need. Calling attention to concrete examples of their resilience and strength. So again, giving back the strength, but also letting them know that, okay, I hear everything that you're saying. That is a tough situation to be in, to go through, but you got through it. You've shown such resilience. And I just want to make sure that I let you know that you're finding ways to continue to be strong, to continue to show up, to show that you have hope, given the situation or circumstance that you may be in. And then lastly, listen for action they believe would be helpful and are ready to take. Sometimes, well, actually a lot of times, we as humans, we have the wisdom deep, deep, deep down inside of us. But when you pile on feelings and thoughts, whether negative, positive, or just confused, unsure, you don't really dig to that wisdom that you have to finding a solution. And so that's when you look for support, or you just continue on because that's what you're used to doing. Feelings of overwhelm, feelings of anger, frustration, happiness, sadness, that all gets pushed on top of our wisdom. And so as the person that's showing up and being supportive, you want to kind of pull that out of them, letting them know that they have it. And you may ask for permission or ask questions of, okay, how can I help you in this situation right now? Is there anything that you need in this present moment to help kind of just get you to that next step? Then they may start to say, you know, I've kind of experienced something like this 2 years ago, 6 months ago, and this is how I got through it. Okay, let's build off of that. Okay, so I heard that you said you had a similar situation like this 6 months ago and that you did X, Y, and Z to get through it. Is that something that can be incorporated in this situation at this time? What adjustments need to be made? So now you're able to have connections and conversations, but it's everything that they're telling you. You haven't necessarily given any advice because it's not really yours to give unless they actually are asking for it. You want to just listen. You want to be present. So here we have another video on Hannah Hart, just talking about listening, the art of listening.
Hi, I'm Hannah Hart, and I'm here to talk if you're willing to listen. So I lived my whole life without knowing that depression was a real thing. I thought depression was like kind of the same thing as being sad or bored or whatever. As I got older and my life got bigger and broader, I still kind of carried what felt like a lead jacket with me wherever I went. Like there was this inherent sense of sadness that no amount of talk therapy was seeming to sort through. Eventually I started going to a different therapist, and she was like, well, it just sounds like, you have depression. I was like, oh, so now what? I personally did a lot of research. I started reading about it, and I found a lot of like-minded people that were like, oh my God, you experience the same thing? There's not just something wrong with me? And as I started to realize what was going on with me, I was able to express it better to the people around me. One of the most important things to remember if you're reaching out to someone you love who's keeping something inside is patience. And don't get frustrated. And if the conversation doesn't go well, don't feel like, oh man, I did this. Set your intention before you even pick up the phone. And for me, it's no matter how this goes, it's not about me. I'm trying because I feel compelled to try, and I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna listen. A good rule of thumb, listen twice as much as you speak. If somebody wants advice, they're gonna go, I don't know, what do you think I should do? And that's when you tell them. I feel like we have a tendency to want to fix problems and solve and give people advice. If you just did this and this, you'd feel better. Okay, great, thanks, it's resolved. Chick, chick. And I do this too. But that's only because we don't want to see the person we love suffering. But unfortunately, sometimes we have to let them suffer in that moment so they can let their suffering out. If somebody's starting to cry and it makes you feel really awkward and really uncomfortable, just sit with it, man, because odds are they need to cry. Your friends want to help you. Your friends want to be there for you. They just don't know how. For instance, my partner's like, why can't I make you happy? And I'm like, this is my happy. So it's okay to take some time and research what might be the right thing for you. When I'm really stressed out or I'm really feeling not my best, I just need someone to be like, yeah? And then I could be like, yeah, word vomit, word vomit, word vomit, word vomit, and then I'll feel better. It's not about telling every single person in your life, hey guys, I'm depressed today. It's about finding the support in your life so you know who to tell. That way, they can be there for you, and you're not just alone in the feeling anymore.
Key thing here, do not be a fixer, because sometimes people don't want that. And when you go into fix-it mode, it shuts them off from telling because they'll think that you see them as a problem that needs to be fixed. It's not necessarily it. And Hannah spoke to that very well. Just no, unless they ask for it, that's when you may give advice. Or just even if they say, what do you think? Giving it back and asking permission to give advice, because in moments of distress and overwhelm, we say a lot of things because we're heightened. And to just go into giving advice, even though they may have said that's what they want, we just want to be clear and make sure that we're not doing something that's going to kind of take that power away from that person. So when we look at number 5, ask how you can be helpful and respond as you are able. So ask how you can help. Okay. So that's really not really giving advice. It's just I'm here supporting you. How can I help you? What does support look like for you? And so if you don't understand how to best be helpful, ask for clarification. Hey, I heard you say this. I just want to get clear on this. What did you mean by this? Or what does that look like? Deepening the conversation so that you have full understanding of what they need, what it looks like to show up for them, but it also helps them to get their thoughts and feelings out, get it out. If that person seems stuck in their space, ask if they would like suggestions on how you can help. Again, this one is asking for permission. It's not just giving suggestions. Hey, I heard the situation that you've gone through. I went through a similar one, and I'm just going to give you how I got through it. We're different people. And so just thinking that your ways of getting through a situation will be the same for that person it's not going to happen. And again, it'll shut that person off or kind of make that person go into their shell of, yep, see, this is probably why I didn't share with anybody in the first place, because they want to fix me. They want to just give advice and give suggestions when I probably didn't even ask for it, didn't even want it. So just be mindful of that. If you're not able to help in a way they propose or may state, let them know and work together to find a compromise. So this could be a situation where this can be a long-term, support. You're checking in on this person, and there may be a day where you personally are going through some things, you're not able to show up. Let them know. Let them know. And in that letting them know, or even through this journey of these 7 promises, you may want to incorporate a question in there of, hey, who are the other supports in your life? Who are other people that show up for you? Who do you feel safe and comfortable with? By doing that, it kind of takes some of what they're giving you off your shoulders. Because to take all of this on for yourself is a lot. And then to have to shift to your personal life and deal with all the things that you may have to deal with, it's a lot. So asking that question along the way, just through conversation, it helps them to really stop and think like, I didn't even, because I'm going through so much, I didn't even think about or my parent or my partner or whomever it may be in their life, because they're clouded with so many different thoughts and how am I going to get through, or what am I going to do? And so you want to be proactive and just let them know, hey, I know we've been checking in and just building a deeper connection with all of this. I want to make sure that I show up for you. And the best way for me to show up is by letting you know that I'm not able to today. Are we able to check in with each other in a few days? Is there someone else that you trust to just check in? You may not give your full of what's going on to that person because you may not be comfortable yet, but just to let them know that you are okay, or whatever it may be. And so just being honest, being open that there are times that you may not be that person to show up in that moment. And it's okay, because we all have lives. We all have different things going on. And so taking on that sense of persecution of, I'm the only one who can help this person. No, let's figure out who else they have in their life to support them and to have conversations with them for that moment. It's not saying it has to be forever. It can be forever. You want to make sure that you are surrounding the person you're showing up for with positive supports, so that if you and this person may go some time without talking or checking in or whatever it may be, they still have people in their corner that they can talk to, vent to, feel comfortable and safe with, without feeling judged or looked at in a certain way. But also, if you commit to offering help, make sure you follow through with your commitment. Okay. I'm sure many of us here on this webinar tonight have experienced something where somebody said they were going to do something and they didn't, and how we felt. And it doesn't even have to be in regards to mental health challenges, just in life. yeah, I'll go to the store and grab that for you. And then they don't do it. And it's like, ugh. Just when I open up and, ask for help, it kind of just puts you back in that, this is why I don't ask for help. This is why I just do things on my own. And then that overwhelm just starts to build because you don't know who's going to show up for you. So if you commit to something, if you commit and let this person know that you're going to check in on them, make sure you follow through. Make sure you follow through because that takes that person back 5, 6 steps, starting from square one for that one action of just not showing up. So then when we look at number 6, what can you do to connect to other supports if asked? Okay, so outside of asking this person, who are other supports that you have? If that person would like to hear about other supports, whether it's in the community or different events and things, let them come to that. Don't be so quick to say, yeah, I hear that you have some mental health challenges. Let's just say, for example, right now, depression or anxiety. There's an event going on. There's a group of people that really works well with those who have depression or those who have anxiety. And without them asking, it's now making it seem like you're pushing them off to this group or these other people. And they may not be ready for that yet. They may just be in this spot of, okay, I'm feeling brave enough to share my story with just one person, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So unless they ask, don't be so quick to give other supports or mention other things that's happening in the community because they may not be there yet. And that's okay. Meeting people where they are is what works. Now, if they ask, if they accept, connect them to those outside resources that may offer further assistance. So you may be somebody who has never experienced someone with depression or anxiety or schizophrenia, but you do know of a group, an outside group that helps people with different mental health challenges. And so connecting this person you're supporting with that, again, takes that weight off of your shoulders because you don't want to present as someone who, even though you're showing up, that you don't want to present yourself as that person who knows about all of these mental health challenges. If you don't know, you don't know, and that's okay. You're gaining more information from this person based on what they're telling you. But if there's another resource or something out there that can help further or better this person's understanding of their mental health challenge, figuring out what life looks like with their mental health challenge, because they're still human and they're able to live full lives. You are now a supportive person, but you're also connecting them to more supports for them to know that they can still live a fruitful life, a fun life. They can work, they can have friends, they can, whatever life looks like for them, they're able to do that with the mental health challenge they have. But only do that if they ask for it, okay? Because you don't want to give a different perspective to this person if you're just so quick to say, here, I have a solution, here is a resource for you. And lastly, maintaining confidentiality and communicate if exceptions exist. Okay, so with this person, as a rule, you want to maintain confidentiality. I'm not going to show up for somebody and say, yes, I am a safe, supportive person. And then when I leave that space, I'm going to my friend and saying, oh, I met this person today and they told me this, this, and this. And you're breaking confidentiality because this person is coming to you in a vulnerable state. And so you want to continue to respect this person and what they're feeling, what they're saying. And you don't want to take it out of that space that you're in, sharing it with others. It's nobody else's business. It's their story. It's their journey to share. They're just being open and vulnerable with you. And so you want to, with these promises, it's a commitment. It's a promise that what's shared here stays here. The exception comes in when we talk about confidentiality, and this can be mentioned at the start, in the middle of the journey that you're on, but if this person is sharing that they have feelings or thoughts of harming themselves or harming others, that's when the exceptions come in, because we want to make sure that we keep them safe as well as others. And so if they are sharing that they want to self-harm, ask. Now this can get a little tricky, because if you're not used to, or if you've never experienced what it looks like or sounds like to ask questions of somebody who's having self-harming ideations, that can be tricky. And so in that space, if you don't know what to do, it's okay to call the proper people, authorities, letting the person you're supporting know, hey, I want to make sure you're safe. So this is what I'm going to do so that we keep you safe. I'm not leaving your side. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to support and make sure that everything happens the way it needs to, but I'm here with you. If you've experienced that and you know what it looks like, asking those questions. Okay, do you have a plan in place? What is your plan if you have one? Who are your supports? Do you feel safe right now? These are different questions that you can ask this person, because it could just be, with everything going on for them, it can be overwhelming. And this is just a thought that comes in their mind. They may say, I don't want to harm myself, but I just have these thoughts because it's just becoming so much. Reflect back. Okay, I hear you. That's a lot. Is there a plan in place? If not, what are some things that you can do to keep yourself in a positive thought, in a positive light, positive mindset? On the flip, if this person is expressing harm to others, you want to let them know that you're staying with them, you keep them safe. But depending on the severity of it, okay, there have been times I've personally experienced this where somebody said, I just want to kill them. And they didn't necessarily mean it, but that's just, they had to get that out. So you want to reflect back. Okay, I heard you say that you want to harm this person. Do you have a plan for that? And they may say, no, I'm just venting. That's just a feeling in my head right now. I don't want to cause any harm to anybody. Okay. All right. Let's continue to talk. Let's continue to get these thoughts and feelings out. In the event that they do actually want to harm others, you then have to let them know. I have to call the proper authorities, because I don't want to leave you alone in this moment. And in that moment, you have to, in letting proper authorities know, they have to then let that person know about the harm, because again, we're in a space of keeping people safe. And so what you don't want to have happen, this is very heavy, but it's necessary to discuss. What you don't want to have happen is that person leaves your space and then they go actually and harm. And so you want to make sure that you cover all of your bases while being with this person. And it may be a period where you have to give more time to just make sure things are where they need to be. This person knows about what's happening, because safety is huge. And so this is, again, where you bring in other supports. You ask them, hey, do you have any other supports or family or people that you're comfortable with talking to or engaging with when I'm not around? And that's when you can just continue talking about what that looks like, who those people are. You as a person supporting may get that person or people's contact information just to let them know, hey, I'm here with such and such. Just want to let you know, that they're in a tough spot and they may need a little bit more support, a little bit more care. You don't have to get into what exactly they're talking about, but just letting them know, hey, they need a little bit more care, a little bit more love, So look for them to come to your place, or if you can stop by their place and just surround yourself, surround some positive vibes and love to this person because they could really use it. So again, it's keeping that confidentiality. It's not sharing what's going on, but just letting them know, hey, I'm a friend of such and such. Just want to let you know they're having a really tough time and I think they could use a little bit more support. So then it just takes that soul, all of it being on you, and you can spread it out. You still care about the person, you're still going to show up for the person, but you're also circling them, surrounding them with others, so that you don't bog yourself down, fatigue yourself, and just completely overwhelm and have your mind racing about what's going on with this person. So it just brings me back to, even though you're showing up for this person, how are you showing up for yourself as well? So really quickly, just looking at what are we talking about with all of this? What does this look like?
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here. Or maybe even here.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay, if they seem down.
Doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
G?
You all right, girl? You cool?
You bugging dog.
Just show you're there for them.
Go on, Kelly. Seize the awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
It can be awkward. It can be really awkward because you're noticing something is off and you don't know how to say it. And so you sit there awkwardly, like, okay, I know something is off. I don't want to rile my friend up or this person up, but I want to call attention to it so that we can really just break down this wall to get through. So it's really important that sometimes being in that awkward space, it builds just amazing relationships because you took that step at noticing something is off, calling attention to it, and really just helping that person kind of let their guard down of, okay, they see me, they've noticed that there's a change in me. So I may not be today that I'm sharing what's going on, but I'm keeping a mental note that they're paying attention to my actions, my behaviors, my nonverbals, all of it. So when we look at compassionate action, just think about, reflect on, what are times or under what circumstances do you find it most difficult to be present and show compassion to others? I know one is just when work is hectic and you're working from 8 a.m. and you get off work at 4 o'clock and you have other projects and things to do. So you're not really able to spend time with family or get some of that alone time. It can be hard to show up with compassion because you're in work mode and your kid is like, mommy, mommy, mommy. And it's like, what? And so it can be hard to shift and turn that brain off and go into parent mode. And that's just one example. It's just a lot of things going on, a lot of things being thrown at you. And so in those moments, what can you do about it? Are you able to just stop working that night and just start over the next day so that you can tend to your family? Are there certain people with whom you are less likely to abide by the 7 promises? Okay, so we saw and heard the 7 promises. Are there times with certain people that these 7 promises may be hard to abide by? What can you do about it in that moment? And so we have both Spanish and English decals. So if you want some, please, we can definitely get an order out for you, so that you can have these, are able to present them for yourself, for others. We're not short of them. I will tell you that. And so with that, that is all that I have for you on how to show up as a safe, supportive person. You can order decals and visit the Safe Person website at eliminatestigma.org. Any more information on this program itself or any other WISE trainings and programs that we have, you can email at wise@eliminatestigma.org, or you can follow us on the WISE page on Facebook. A lot of different things there, but just hopeful that you're able to take something from this, and just, if you want to show up and be a safe, supportive person, you can. You definitely can. And we could use a lot more safe and supportive people in our world today. So thank you, Bree. I'm going to give it back to you.
Thank you so much, Brittany. That was super helpful. I know, it's just something that is so aligned to the NAMI mission and vision and stuff that we, present to kids and youth and teens and young adults. It's like, it's just something that you can utilize at any age. And I just really appreciate the way that you were so well spoken. And, that was a really great presentation. I really appreciate it. I did see that there was a hand that was raised, and one of our participants had their hand raised. However, I don't really know how to use that feature, I'll be honest. So, so if you could write your question in the Q&A box at the bottom, I'll be able to ask those questions through that. The chat box is disabled, so please use the Q&A. As we are waiting, if you do have questions, please ask. And Brittany, I do have a couple questions for you as you were talking. Yes. Well, first of all, there was like 2 things that you said that really, really stuck out to me. And one of them was respect the space that they are in. I've never really heard of it being, described that way. And I really feel like you painted a picture of like when somebody's like hot and then, you get hot and it's just like a back and forth battle. It was just really eye-opening, at least for me, hearing, when you are showing up for a person, you're showing up for that person. And just take a deep breath, find out what works for you, and kind of remain calm, cool, collected. So I really appreciated that. I did have a question. So, I think one thing that at least I've been seeing a lot in the field, is, we do a lot of work with high school age students. And one of the things that is being brought up to us over and over and over again, is that, kids or teens, are coming into the social worker office, or they're talking to their friends and they're saying, hey, I'm not feeling so good. However, the stigma with the families may be so deep based on, a bunch of different reasons, right? And, it kind of prevents sometimes, the kid getting the treatment that they deserve, right? And so I guess, what is your advice to our parents and our teens when it comes to, a situation like that?
Yeah. In today's society, there is a huge disconnect with parents and schools, unfortunately. And so the best thing that anybody that's in this position, what you can do is, it's almost like inviting the parent to get more information. It's not to say, hey, your kid has this or is going through this, because then they're going to be defensive and kind of deflect, because it's now like you're pointing at a situation that their kid is experiencing. But you want to invite them to the school to learn, to see the culture, to see like where their kid is, the space that they're in, and really just like speak to the positives of the school, to really get the parents to see, okay, when they leave home, this is a safe place for them. And then that's kind of like when you bring them in, it's really hard because when you look at different cultures and you talk about stigma and you talk about mental health, it can almost be unspoken in a lot of households, stigma and mental health. And so what you want to do in that space when you invite the parent in is also, because I've experienced this too, have the kid there as well. Have the kid there, because once the teacher or the social worker shows that the school is a safe place and the student feels safe with that social worker, invite them in that space, because then the student can tell what's going on, but they know they have the support of the social worker or the teacher or the counselor in their corner. And it then makes for that situation to be less like tense, because you're showing that safe space. Like my child is comfortable sharing what's going on, because when they leave home, they're going to a place where they feel safe, where they're able to learn, but they also feel that as a person, they can be their full selves.
Yeah.
So it is tricky.
Yeah.
It
For
is.
sure.
And it takes time too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like it's all just based out of trust, right?
Yeah,
Building that
absolutely.
relationship, building rapport, and that communication piece, I feel like, yeah, I feel like it all stems from that. That's really good advice. I appreciate that. I did get a question. It says, would you be able to send some of the decals to Eisenhower Library for patrons who attend the session to pick up?
Absolutely.
Cool. Do that information.
Yeah, if you're able to send me that information, we will get you some decals like ASAP. I know with the holidays coming up, we have a operations manager who handles all of that. I'm the one who gives the trainings. I show my face. She does all of that on the back end. So
I love it.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for doing that. That's excellent resource. I might actually hit you up for that too.
Yep. Yep.
I did have another question. Well, actually one popped up. Let's look at theirs first. Do you already have our address, or do you need me to send it to you here in the chat? The person who typed in the Q&A, is it just to the Eisenhower Library that we would send it to? If so, I can send Brittney all that information. Perfect. Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, I got you covered. Yeah, and I will also do a follow-up email that will have the recording of tonight's session, as well as, if we have any lingering questions, we can get those answered as well.
Yeah.
But Brittney, I do have another question for you that I was just kind of thinking about. And I guess like my lens is kind of going back to like that teen brain, just because we're in the schools so much right now that, we've kind of seen some of this stuff happen. And so, one of the things you mentioned, right, is if you're not necessarily in the space to be there for somebody, and kind of posing that question, like, who else is in your court that can help you through something like this, right? And so what if you get a response and they say, well, nobody, you're the only one? Like, how do you navigate that? Because, I feel like in some situations, that person may only have you. And so how do you put up, your boundaries and make sure you're taking care of yourself while also, being there for that other person,
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we talk about youth, it can be very tricky because they have so many thoughts and things going on, and trust is one that's like
Yeah.
way low
Yeah.
when it comes to just building connections. And so if a student or a youth says, I really don't have anyone, for yourself, if the school does have a counselor or a social worker,
Mhm.
that can be your space to say, okay, is it okay for me to share this with the social worker, what have you, just so that they know
Mhm.
what's going on.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a situation where they're checking in on you, but just so that somebody else knows
Mhm.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Because with a lot of things that's happening, unfortunately, in the schools, it can be very heavy for a student to say, I want to do this, and you're holding on to that. And
Mhm.
so to just let the safest person is a counselor or social worker,
Mhm. Yeah.
letting that person know. It doesn't have to be a teacher, it doesn't have to be another student. The social worker or the counselor in the school is the safest person because they also hold those confidentiality guidelines.
Mhm.
So in that space, and if they say, well, I don't really want them to know,
Yeah.
you kind of have to break that like for yourself, because again, safety in regards to youth is huge.
Mhm.
And so you then have to think about yourself. Like if I was a youth, you have to think about yourself. Like I want to show up for this person, but I also want to keep myself safe.
Mhm.
And is this person presenting safety to me, like where I know that I can continue this conversation? Yes or no? If not, you're just going to have to let that person know, like, hey, I would feel comfortable letting the social worker know just where things are. I still want to show up for you, but at least somebody else in the school, like in this space, knows the surface level of what's going on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, to still keep it confidential,
Mhm.
but you're at least informing somebody else who's in that same space.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good. Thank you for that. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, school counselors, social workers, best people. I mean, God bless them.
Yes.
And then, I guess just another thing that really stuck out to me, what you said, and I feel like I'm going to use this because it was like brilliant. When you were saying, your feelings kind of stack upon your wisdom. And in order for you to express or show what you need those like guiding questions to kind of peel that back
Mm-hmm.
and let them figure it out. I just thought that was so brilliant. And like, even in like circumstances where, you may, as the recipient of somebody telling you something, you may find yourself caught up and like feeling all worked
Yeah.
up and you don't know what to say. And I think, it was just very, very, very good advice and just something that I was like, I got wisdom. Like, like I gotta
We
peel back those
do.
layers.
It's there. It is there. But when you just go through your normal routine and you're so used to just getting through or however you get through, you don't really say, okay, now in this situation, how am I going to get through this? You have like 97 other feelings piled on that you pay attention to that more so than what you actually know.
Literally. Yeah.
So,
100%. And it's just like such a, I don't want to say easy. It's not an easy thing to say, but it's kind of like common sense. Like, yes, everybody does have that in them. Like, things. And, I just thought that that was just a really beautiful thing. So thank you for saying that. I'm definitely stealing that from you.
please do, because I mean it's a work in progress for me. I'm the one saying it, but I
I know it's
moments
hard.
too.
It's
It's like I don't
hard.
know what to do.
Yeah,
I do.
100%. And I think what that girl said, one of the people in one of your videos is like, you know, I do this all the time too. Like you
Mhm.
just you do that because you care so much. And I
Yep.
think it's
Yep.
not received that way. And that's what's so hard sometimes is, you want to pose solutions because you don't want to see your other person hurting.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
really just not helpful in most
And I
situations.
mean, it's for like across the board. I have a
Yeah.
5-year-old that's like, I just want to get rid of it. Like, give it here, give it to
Right?
me. Even to like
my
my
God.
grandmother. It's like, I just want to take it off. You should not
Yes.
be suffering. Like,
Yes.
so it's across the
Yes.
board.
100%. Yeah. That's just deep breaths.
Yeah.
Deep
Yeah.
breaths.
You got it. You got it. It's there.
That's awesome. I did have one more question. Do we have any questions in the chat? No, we're good. Okay. One more question. I need to find it first. Oh, how would you recommend, if we're having conversations or we're just trying to spread awareness and, even if it's in like a lighthearted manner and you have
Mhm.
that person or those people who, make a sly joke or, do say something that is stigmatizing, but it's so, it's quick, maybe they didn't mean it, whatever that may be. Like, how do you kind of stop that? How do you, how do you just respond to that? What do you
Mhm.
suggest in situations?
Yep. Because it happens. Like, I don't want to say
Yeah.
it's normal, but kids are kids, people are people, and if they don't know, they tend to say things just out of their unknowing.
Yeah.
And so generally what you can do, what anybody can do is, even if they mean it as a joke, you can
Mhm.
kind of give it back as a challenge.
Mm.
Now, what that
Mm.
challenge looks like, not I have no say so on what somebody says, but challenge it.
Yeah.
Challenge it. Like if somebody says, and like I'm not meaning this in any regard, but just if somebody says, oh, people who are depressed can't live a normal life.
Hmm. Yeah.
How come they can't? What are they not able to do?
I like that.
Like, and just it's really just challenging it,
Yeah.
because it'll for one make that person think, okay, that was stupid in the moment. But then it'll also like shift their perspective of, okay, well, maybe I don't know enough.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know enough. And even the person who's challenging or like throwing it back may not know all the ins and outs of depression.
Mm.
But
Sure.
it can definitely spark more conversation, more awareness of
Mhm.
just let's just say somebody in that same space or school, if somebody's challenging it, saying like, okay, how come they can't, or why not, and another person who actually has depression then chimes in and
Mhm.
says, I'm here, I'm able to do
Mic
this,
drop.
I'm working, I got it just, but really the biggest thing is challenge it. Just
Mhm.
challenge it. It can be awkward. It can feel like nerve-wracking because it's like, okay, where is this coming from? Where did it come from? But the only way to really stop or like knock out stigmatizing beliefs and just stigma in general is to really combat it with
Mm.
like, well, how come they can't?
Mm.
Or
Mhm.
do you know someone who hasn't? Because I've seen people who actually have achieved
Mhm.
and done X, Y, and Z.
For sure.
Um, and the only, for all of you, I'm able to speak on this from experience. So it's not
Mm.
like
Yeah.
I'm just pulling this out. I've done a lot of this work. I've seen a lot of this happen. And Bree, your questions are amazing because unfortunately these things are still happening.
Mm. Right.
And society, it's slowly coming out, but society has said that mental health is like, it's this bad thing, or it's just given a negative connotation or perspective to it. And it's not. Like, in my work, I've heard a lot of ways people have changed their language. And one of the biggest things is and like using and instead of but. And what I mean by that is just like, okay, I have depression, but, and it's like, no. You have depression and you're great. You're phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't stop you and it doesn't define you as a person.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to
It
do.
sure is. It sure is. But, you know, it is true. Like it is coming to light, and I feel like there is progress being made, but it's webinars like this, it's conversations like this that will,
Mhm.
you know, open eyes and, you know, understand that, you know, it's a normal thing, you know.
Yeah.
We both said
Yeah.
1 in 5, 1 in 4 people, you know, have a condition. So it's more known than you may think it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's really great. Thank you so much. That's all the questions I have. For those of you who are on, for those of you who joined us and those who couldn't join us today but have registered, I will be sending out a follow-up email probably tomorrow that will have the recording and links where you can access the website on our YouTube channel as well as our website. I have a couple of closing comments before we go. One is our next program, our next webinar will be held on January 22nd from 7 o'clock to 8:30 p.m. where Anna Puntini and Anastasia Stisen from Charlie Health will further educate us on virtual therapy as a treatment option. If you haven't checked out Charlie Health, I recommend it. If you have not checked it out, please come to our webinar. It's going to be great. If you are a family member who does care for a loved one that does have a mental health condition, we are launching our free 9-week course that will begin on January 8th. It will be located in Des Plaines at the Sisters of Holy Family of Nazareth. Again, free of charge. Registration is required. So if you are interested, please visit our website and register for that class. And then lastly, once you log off, as always, there's going to be a brief survey. It will do 2 things for us. It will allow us to better understand how you felt about tonight, your comfort level, how we did, as well as provide us the data and the information we need to raise money to continue providing our services for free. So please, please, please take it. It's only a couple of questions. We would really appreciate it. And lastly, we appreciated you coming tonight. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you at our next community webinar. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and happy holidays, everybody. Bye. Thank you so
Bye.
much, Brittney. I will
Thank
email
you.
you tomorrow.
Awesome.
You rock. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.